Parents say thousands of words to their kids every day, but some phrases help children grow, while others can shut communication down, depending on your tone. Parenting expert Betsy Brown Braun is known for helping parents find the right tone, the right words through tough moments. Today, she's sharing the phrases and the way that work when we're talking to our children. You are so incredible in so many ways. You've written 2 books. You're constantly consulting and helping parents. And now we have you here on the show. So thank you so much for being here.
Glad to be back. Thank you.
You were telling me that it's not always the words we use, but the tone in which we use them. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, you had forewarned me that we were going to talk about communication. And I want to start by saying communication isn't just words. It's how we say our words. It's how we position our bodies. It's the expression on our faces. It's when we choose to talk and when we choose not to talk. Communication is listening as much as it is talking. So I know we all want to have great communication channels with our kids and great relationships, whether your child is 2 or 40. And I know that we can make that happen or we can sabotage it. So what I mean by that is when you're saying to your kid, I hate that I say kid. I want to say child. It feels disrespectful, so I'll take that back. That's what I mean. We need to be conscious of our communication. It is not something that just dribbles out of your mouth, but it's something you need to think about, unfortunately. And more often than not, I come to parents who are saying to me, I'm such a shrew. I say this all the time. I wish I didn't say it that way. And I apologized, but I don't want to be this way. I had a client just yesterday who said, I hate me, I hate the mother I am. So when I talk about communication, I talk about thoughtful communication, purposeful communication. Communication is not just telling your child, what to do and what not to do, but it's also communicating. It's having a chat about something that isn't a direction or something that isn't you're being a director as opposed to a consultant or just someone that you're enjoying being with. When I say tone, what I mean is you can say this, I'm so sick of having you in this family. I'd like to pick you up and throw you against a wall. I really just cannot stand the way you're screaming. And what your 6-month-old hears is, I love you, I love you, I love you. By the same token, you can say, sweetheart, I really wish you would come to dinner when I call you. I've called you 14 times and you still haven't come. Oh, that's just so hard. Tone.
100%.
How to find a way that communicates your message in addition to the words communicating your message.
It's interesting what you just said, because when we have toddlers, which I am way out of that world now, but many of our viewers do have toddlers, and the tone, especially with toddlers, makes such a difference. What happens when we yell, when we lash out? Our kid pees on the floor in spite of us, and we just lash out and yell. What happens at that moment to our child?
Well, here's something really interesting, whether your child is young or old or an adult, okay? When you yell, it gives, at anything, it is much like a bull who's shown the red cape, okay? And what the recipient of your yelling hears is red alert. In a human brain, it is in the amygdala, in our primitive brain, that he receives the messages. That's the place where fight and flight lives. And if you're fighting by yelling, if you give the fight message, as Dan Siegel and Tina Bryson and all those brilliant people in the field of neurology and neurodevelopment with children and adults have taught us, your brain emits a hormone that shuts down your ability to think and respond. It's your frontal cortex, and as they say, it just shuts down. If flight or fright is happening, the hormone is emitted that shuts us down, and your kid hears nothing. On top of that, we humans have this amazing thing called a mirror neuron. You know when I yawn, you yawn? Mirror neuron. If you started to cry right now, I would tear up. Yeah. Mirror neurons enable us to identify with the emotion of the person with whom you're communicating. It has to do with empathy. It's more complicated than I'm making it sound. But when you yell at your child hears you yelling, and he yells. And then you yell. And then he yells. And then you yell. And pretty soon you're both yelling at each other. What we want to be doing is calming it down, or putting your child in a place where his frontal cortex is alert and awake, and he can actually respond to what's going on.
So you ask your child to get ready for school. She doesn't want to wear what you put out for her. You go back and forth. Your tone is not the way it should be. You're not maybe using the right words. She says, well, you know what? I can't wear this. I'm going to pee on the floor. You yell at her. Now let's take it back. How could we have completely approached this in a different way?
Well, let's start out with my asking you, how old is she?
4.
4-year-olds get themselves dressed. I know parents of 4-year-olds don't believe it because it's not expedient. We're going to be late. Let's go. Get your clothes on. And your shoes are backwards. Blah, blah, blah. That happens. We need to, first of all, add a lot of time in the mornings for getting dressed. I know that's not what you're asking, but actually in answering this, my point for everything is nothing exists in and of itself. There's the issue, and then there's all this other stuff around it we have to address, which is why I do what I do and why I'm successful at what I do. I cause you to pay attention to everything around a situation. You have to set yourself up to be successful in the morning. Now again, I'm in your she doesn't want to get dressed thing, and we're not here talking about tantrums, we're talking about communicating.
Correct.
But part of communicating is something that's called lousy local conditions. It's a phrase I made up which means when the environment sabotages either your ability or usually your child's ability to be his best self. So if he had a bad night's sleep, if he woke up and he's crabby, if he's worrying about going to school because there was a fight yesterday on the yard, if he doesn't like his teacher, if your sibling is staying home and he's not, if grandma's been visiting for too long, do you see what I mean? There's so
Sure.
many things. He's liable to not want to wear what he wanted to wear. So instead of my giving you, this is what you do, you have to stop and think about, what hill am I going to die on here? What's going on? In my world, a child gets his clothes ready for the next day the night before. Puts them out in a shirt, pants, socks, shoes, hat, sweater, whatever it is. And in the morning you get up. And he can change his mind about what he's going to wear 20 times before he goes to bed. It's his job. Wakes up in the morning and he says, I don't want to wear this. Or she says more commonly, I don't want to wear this. And of course, I'm sitting here answering you thinking, okay, does he have a tactile deficiency? Is there something going on with sensory motor that's going to itch? Or there's always so many things. But I would say, it's almost time to go to school. You need to put on whatever clothes you want. If you get down here in time for breakfast, you'll have breakfast. If you don't, you won't, and we'll go to school. We tend to exacerbate those things and make them worse by, hurry up, we're going to be late. So maybe that wasn't the best example of what to say, but what I do want to say is set yourself up for success. So you may have said to your child the afternoon before, you know, getting up and getting dressed in the morning is a challenge for you. What can we do to make it go faster? What do you think? Should I get you up earlier? Should we not have a big breakfast? Should we have just a granola bar? Kind of brainstorm about it, because parents think that that issue that you're talking about is punishment worthy. And it isn't a punishment worthy. I don't believe in punishment anyway. I believe in consequences, but that's another visit to you. But I don't want to make the child feel bad about there's a reason he doesn't want to wear that outfit. When you get underneath the problem, that's part of communicating, is listening and knowing what's going on. You will be able to communicate better. I could take this one, I could talk for another half hour about this.
No, I know, but this is a 4-year-old, but let's take it up to teen years, right? And power struggles with teens, because it doesn't stop, right? It just keeps going. They grow, bigger kids, bigger problems. And those who have teenagers who are going to parties, sneaking out, and you said you don't believe in punishment, you believe in consequences. But what I just heard from you is you put power into this 4-year-old's hands.
Right.
How do we do that efficiently with teens so they feel like they have the power and that we're not controlling them, because they don't want to be controlled? How do we communicate that? Or is that not the way we should be communicating so they don't sneak out of the house?
Well, that's actually not a communication question that you're asking, but I'm going to answer it by saying, of course they want all the power. Every teen alive wants all the power. So does every 5th grader, 4th grader, 3rd grader, 2nd grader, 1st grader. So we communicate with teens very differently than we do with young children.
Right.
With our elementary school age children, we are better listeners, well, with teens too, but we're better listeners than we are talkers. We start with a yes before we start with a no. I know you want cookies, it's 5 o'clock. You may have your cookies tomorrow morning. I'm going to put them right here. And you could, right now, it's carrots or celery or whatever. And then the child has a fuss, and that's another topic we'll talk about. But number one, with our younger kids, we always say yes before no. What can they do? What do we want them to do? Don't ever come in fighting with no, not, you can't, don't, because he'll shut down right then and there. With our teens, instead of coming in with a no, you begin almost in the same way by saying, well, let's talk about it. What do you think? Tell me your plan. And sometimes when you put it out there and it's in front of them, they're able to come to accept whatever you're going to say with less hostility. Our communication, basically, I want to tell you a few basics since this is the topic. Number one, we don't talk to kids when we're in the kitchen and they're in the playroom. We don't talk to teens when they're in their cave of a bedroom and we're in the den. Real communication happens between a foot to 18 inches apart.
Right.
We want to see one another. They don't have to be looking at you in the eye, but you need to have a multimodal interaction, meaning they can hear you, they can see you, and in some cases, you put a hand on them so they really know you're there. Second of all, we talk in a voice that says, I mean what I say, but that's not yelling or that's going to put them on the defensive. Third of all, most especially with teens, we remember that less is more. All parents talk too much. Usually talk too fast and talk too much. Less is more. Say a little bit, stop, pause, hear what the reaction is, respond to that. Same thing with teens.
Less is more. Yeah, we talk too much.
Those are 3 tips to get it started.
That's great. Oh my God. I'm going to play this on rewind, like a replay over and over and over again. What's the biggest mistake you think we make as parents during conflicts? Because things do get heated.
Between conflicts or in life?
No, live. Like there's a conflict between the parent and a child. What's the biggest mistake you've seen parents come to you? You consult, you see so many, parents who come to you with issues. What do you find is the biggest mistake we make over and over again?
I have many, but I'm going to word that in a more positive way. It would be so useful if parents would begin their conversations in a conflict of first validating what the child, regardless of age, has said. Okay, I know you really want to be able to go to that movie and therefore get home at midnight as opposed to 11, that is your curfew. Or I know you really want to watch your iPad now and you haven't done your homework. I hear you loud and clear. What do you think we can do about that? Because you don't want to create a greater conflict. Now, I say this with all these platitudes, and I know there are times when a parent's going to say, what the?
Yes.
Just do the goddamn, whatever it is. We all fall apart.
Sure.
It happens. And I'm not telling you to run back and say, I'm so sorry. Kids have to know that parents, you're doing as well as you can do at the moment, considering the situation.
Correct.
Sometimes it's lousy local conditions for parents. Sometimes it's lousy local conditions for the child. So it's not going to be perfect. But when we approach it in such a way that we don't create more conflict, there are going to be things that the child doesn't have a choice about. When kids are little, I like to say, starting at a very young age, at 2 or 3, this is a child's choice. This is your choice. Do you want the red cup or the blue cup? It's time to brush your teeth now. That's a grown-up's choice. We need to do it now. And we do kid choice, grown-up choice, so that they have control.
Right.
As they get older, it's not that we say it's a kid choice, it's my choice, but we say there are boundaries, there are family rules. And I want you to know, if you ever say to me, but I'm the only one who doesn't have it, I'm going to say to you, I will never say yes to something you want because every other parent is doing it. So we communicate honestly, but we try to address what's going on underneath the issue. I realize I'm making this very complicated for you.
Not at all.
And
Not
I
at all.
don't mean to be, but my point here was we communicate, our communication with teens, starting from like 12 on up, is much more inclusive and interactive
Right.
than it is with younger kids. With younger kids, there are more, I know you really want to do that, we will do it tomorrow, and now I'm done talking. Do I look like the kind of mommy who's going to change her mind? I mean, I say things like that.
I like that.
I don't say it with teens. I say, we got to figure out a way to make this work so that we're both okay with it.
Right. And what I'm hearing from you again is that you've got to be able to listen, be an active listener, because only then will they be able to sit there and negotiate. It is a negotiation at the end of the day, right?
Not when they're little.
Not when they're little. When they're
Unless
teens.
you want to create a problem when they're teens. That's one of the big communication errors that parents made. As you were asking, what's a mistake we make? Not with teens, but more with our younger ones, is that we allow, oh, just 2 more minutes? Okay, 2 more minutes. You lose your credibility when you give in to just 2 more. Just 1 more, just enough. I just need to. And you come in and you say to them, for example, this is your just 2 more minutes. It's happening right now. We're going to be turning that off in 2 minutes.
And that's
As opposed to coming in, oh, just 2 more.
And you save yourself a lot of agony when you are stern and to the point, and that's what they need anyways. They need those boundaries, so that's what works.
Yeah. I don't fault them for trying, by the way. I think it's perfectly fine to try. Good at you. You know, you're tenacious. You're trying really hard. It just won't work with me, maybe with someone else.
Love that. Thank you again for your wisdom and for sharing all these tidbits. And we can't wait to have you back again. And thank you, everybody, for watching. Leave your comments below. Share this video with those who you think really need some help in parenting, because God knows we all do. And we'll see you next time on Moms Matter.